Keeping fish in a home aquarium is a rewarding hobby for many people, but there is a lot of careful planning required and maintenance to keep those fish happy. So today I've compiled a list of everything that you need to take into account to ensure that your wet pets are living the life they deserve to lead. Hi, I'm Russ and welcome back to my channel for another video. So there are two things you first need to take into consideration if you want to have fish as pets, and that is the fish that you require and tank size. So tank size, you need to consider where it's going in your property. So if you want to have rainbow fish, for instance, then you're going to need a 4-foot aquarium. If you've not got 4 foot of space for an aquarium, then rainbow fish are ruled out. So you do need to take this into consideration. So tank size, where's it going in your house, pretty much dominates the size of tank that you want. Once you've found out what size you can put somewhere, then you need to take the fish into consideration. So if you only got room for a small tank, then maybe nano fish like little Rasboras or some tetras would be better for you. If you've got more space, then rainbow fish and larger size fish needs can be taken into consideration. When you go looking at fish, find out what size those fish grow to. You can go into some aquariums and buy plecos that are only 2 to 3 inches in size, but in a couple of years they're going to be over 1 foot in length. So you do need to look at what the full size of the fish are when you're considering what fish you are buying. Once you've decided what tank size you're going to choose and what fish you're going to put in there, then you need to do some research into that fish. What temperature does that fish thrive at? So once you've realised that that fish thrives at, say, 78 to 82 degrees and your tank size is 4 foot, then you have to take into consideration the amount of heating that you're going to put in there. Now, I do always recommend 2 heaters in an aquarium anyway, just in case one fails. But on larger tanks, like my angelfish aquarium, that's 300 litres, that runs at 82 degrees. Now, 1 heater isn't sufficient. It only got it up to 78 degrees and it couldn't get it past that. So you do need to put more heating in for the larger size tanks. Once you've got the heating sorted out, then you need to look at lighting. But lighting is something that you need to take into consideration because the fish don't actually require lighting. It depends on what decorations you're going to put in there. Are you going to put live plants in there? Are you going to put plastic plants in there? We will discuss decorations a little bit later on. But if you're going to put live plants in there, then you need to take into consideration stronger lighting, better lighting. Maybe like I've got the fluval lights on here that work on an app, so you're not having to keep turning those lights on and off at a regular every day. They do it themselves. Lighting is something you seriously need to take into consideration. After that, then you need to start considering filtration. Filtration on smaller tanks, then a sponge filter or a hang on the back filter would be sufficient. But as you start getting to the bigger aquariums, then you're going to need to start looking at canister filtration. Certain fish poop more. Plecos poop more. They're known as being quite a dirty fish. Goldfish themselves poop more. They are dirtier. So you need to take into consideration the fish that you're choosing, how much waste do they produce. That then is an indication of how big a filtration system you need to install onto your aquarium. Filtration needs to give you flow around your aquarium. So once you've decided on your filtration and you're putting your decorations in there, you need to consider the flow. Will the decorations that you put into the aquarium, will they have a definitive reaction to the flow of the aquarium? Are you going to start getting dead spots? And when I set up my angelfish aquarium, I actually originally set up for rams and I put quite a few caves in there, but the caves became dead spots. So I had to introduce stronger flow, which then affected the rams because they didn't like the flow. So you have to take all this into consideration when you are setting up any aquarium. Decorations come in many shapes and forms. I prefer to go down a more natural route, so with rocks and wood, but you can also buy your submarines and you can buy your helicopters, and you can have your plastic plants and you can have your live plants. This is where I was talking about before, live plants with your lighting. Fish don't require the lighting. The lighting's there for our benefit, really. But if you have live plants, the live plants require lighting. Certain live plants require more lighting than others. The lotus tiger lily, even though it's a red plant, doesn't really require much lighting. Anubias, Java fern don't require much lighting, but plants like Rotala and plants like Ludwigia all require strong lighting because they are a red plant and they require the strong lighting to go red. Then you need to cycle the aquarium. You can't just go and put fish straight in there. Well, technically you can, but it is frowned upon. You can now buy different things that make the water quality better, so you can do a fishing cycle. But there are many different ways to cycle your aquarium. I have actually done a video on cycling aquariums, and I'll leave a link at the top of the screen there. But yeah, you need to cycle the aquarium. Cycling the aquarium can take 6 to 8 weeks if you do it without fish in. And it can still take up to 6 to 8 weeks with fish in, but there's a lot of work that needs to go into place if you're doing a fish in cycle. So when you're planning your cycle, make sure that you do have the time, that you may come home from work and have to do a 50% water change. If you've not got the time to do that, then choose to cycle your aquarium in a different method. Whilst you're cycling your aquarium, regular testing is required to make sure that water quality is right for the fish that are living in there now. But once it's cycled, do you still need to do them water tests? Of course you do, because you can still have ammonia spikes, which will increase the ammonia, obviously, which will increase the nitrites, and your bacteria that's living in there may fall behind for a little bit. So you do need to regular test once a week just to make sure that your water quality is staying perfect for those fish to live the life that you have set up for them. If the water quality is perfect, then the chances of your fish becoming diseased or ill is reduced massively. So you need to take into consideration the health of your fish. You need to know what to look out for regarding diseases and different parasites that can live within your aquarium and take out the life of your fish, or kill your fish, I should say. So those need to take into consideration. So when you're going out buying things for your fish, why don't you stock up on medication? Because it's better to have that medication there when you need it, rather than when you need it, you find out on a Sunday evening, oh my God, one of my fish has got white spot, I've got no treatment. So then you're in work the next day. So it's better to have those medications in the background, waiting for when you need them. Perfect water quality and stability within your water is one of the best ways to prevent disease. But also, so is good diet. A good, balanced, varied diet is just what your fish are looking out for. Take into consideration what types of food fish like to eat, when they like to eat. Some fish, like the rainbow fish, would prefer to be fed little and often, 3 times a day, just little bits. Other fish don't mind being fed once a day. But all that needs to be taken into consideration. As regarding diet, a nice balanced diet. These fish, one day they'll be fed dried food, then they're fed frozen live foods. I also have a brine shrimp hatchery that produces, obviously, brine shrimp every 3 to 4 days. They get fed that. So my fish, I know, get a really good balanced diet, and that's something that you really do need to consider when you're buying your fish. Regular maintenance is also key to keeping your fish healthy. Maintenance. So Regarding plants, make sure your plants are nicely trimmed. Make sure that the water flow, the plants that are growing in your aquarium aren't stopping that flow. It's something you need to consider all the time. 10 to 20% water changes weekly are kind of what a lot of people do. I actually do 30 to 40% weekly on this aquarium alone. Because it's a rainbow fish aquarium, rainbow fish do prefer larger water changes. But this gets dosed with plant fertilizer daily, so the nitrates, or I should say nitrates, do get high, so large water changes are required. But if you'd like to know just what my maintenance routine is on this aquarium, then watch this video next.